Hi friends, good morning. Today's presentation is all about flood. Uh, we'll we'll see how flood occurs, but before that, first we'll talk about rain because it is largely dependent on the water cycle on planet Earth. So let's understand how rain droplets are formed and how the rain occurs on the earth. So basically, yeah. So what we need whenever there are large water bodies like sea or river, what happens due to sun? The sun transmit its heat to the water body and it heats up the surface of water, which eventually turns this water into gas, and this gas is called water vapor. Hmm? Let's get rid of this. Yeah, so this water vapor, it rises. Yeah, it rises upward because the hot air rises up and cold air takes the place of hot air. That is the phenomena we know already. So this air rises upward. This gas is once it rises upward, what happens? And however, yeah, this phenomena, the gas rises from water, is called evaporation. Hmm? Due to this evaporation, this water droplets rises upward. Oops, our sun has gone. Okay, so this is our sun. Hmm, yeah. So these water droplets rise upward. But what happens once it rises upward? The more it goes upward, the temperature above is lesser than temperature below. So this air, hot gases, evaporated air or water vapor, whatever we call it, it becomes colder once it goes upward. So at the bottom, it may be hot, in between, it would lose the temperature, and at the topmost layer, it will be colder. So let's divide it. So layer 1, 2, and 3. So over here, it will be quite colder in nature. So now what happens once this water vapor rises up? This becomes, let's erase this first. This becomes the cloud. Hmm? Let's redraw this. Yeah, so this become cloud like thing because this hot air rises up and it becomes cold, so all the water droplets become cold and will be condensed over here. So this process is called condensation. So do you remember when you have colder water bottle or soda bottle, we buy it from the shop and we keep it outside for some time? What happens? The water droplets, uh, let me show you. So the water droplets uh, uh, collected on the surface of the bottle. So this phenomena is called condensation. Let's go back to the first image. Hmm. Okay, so let's draw the sun quickly. This is our sun and this is our cloud. So all these droplets is condensed over here and it makes a cloud. Hmm? So the droplets will be together and then it will make cloud. But then what happens? This process becomes rigorous and then it comes together. So let's say there are in one water drop, it will be almost around 1 million droplets like this, vapor droplets. Once it is condensed properly and it forms the drops, what happens due to gravity? It falls over the ground, and that is what create the rain, right? Now second phenomena is there is always wind. There is always wind, right? Always wind, either from this side or from this side. What happens? This entire thing will move in this side, move to this side or this side. And this cloud, once it is over here, it drops on the land and it makes the entire area wet, or the rain occurs on the land. So now we know how the rain occurs and all this water cycle happens. We can talk about flood efficiently. So you just have to remember, let's erase all. Yeah, you just have to remember that this water cycle is basically the process which happens regularly, restarts regularly. So there is water, then condensation, the evaporation of water, then condensation that will make cloud, and then precipitation, which is rain. So from this cloud, it becomes rain eventually. I don't have white page, and that is why I'm doing it over here, but you know the process, right? Let's erase everything. Okay, so now let's talk about the flood. Okay, go to next page. So what is flood? So let's talk about the definition first. So flood is a natural phenomena in which dry area or dry piece of land suddenly gets submerged under water. So what does it state? So basically this entire thing, mm, is dry piece of land, right? We build house on dry piece of the land. There might be some road, right? And there might be some trees. What happens due to precipitation on the ground? What happens due to certain reason? This entire area becomes flooded. So, and that happens so quickly that it doesn't, the water doesn't have the way to escape from the ground. Now one need to understand like what is the basic phenomena. So water basically travel or move from upstream to low stream, or probably higher altitude area to the lower altitude area, and that is how it merges to the ocean eventually. So what happens in between, wherever there is a low area, sometimes what happens, like due to the area of the land is having lower altitude than the sea level, and if some areas falls in between this, or probably if it is in a valley, so what happens, this due to this precipitation, that area gets flooded quickly, because there is plenty of water pouring down from the sky, and that is what makes this entire area flooded. Sometimes what happens that it flood entire of your house, so maybe the level of the water would be, at this level, it brings down the trees. It brings out the furniture of the house, and animals, probably sometimes the entire city submerged into the water. The best example of Surat city, like couple of times we have got flood. So entire city is submerged into the water, and that is why it is quite devastating. So natural behavior of water, as we discussed, it moves from the higher level to the lower level. Let's see this all this. Yeah, and the lower level is most likely to get flooded. So that is what you need to understand. Whatever level is low, it always get flooded. Hmm? So if water streams from this area to this area, and if this area is lower, what happens, the water travels like this and it makes this entire area flooded if this altitude is lower. Hmm? So now let's learn main reason of flooding. So the very first reason is rain. Hmm? So we have cloud, and there is rain. So whenever it rains heavily and there is less drainage uh, system is there, the flooding occurs. So basically what happens, all this water accumulated over here because there is very poor drainage system. Just imagine this piece of land is huge land, it is just size of the city, and it has got poor drainage system. What happens, all this water you know uh, pouring down from the sky, as in a form of rain, it will be collected over here, right? And like it will take time from upstream to from this area to go to lower area, and that is what makes this entire area flooded. So or maybe there are two reasons. One is, as I said, like poor drainage system, and second is heavy rain. So for an example, if you remember Mumbai, it always get flooded. We cannot say that Mumbai has got poor drainage system, but the rain in Mumbai, the precipitation in Mumbai is quite high, and that is why Mumbai gets flooded regularly on regular occasion. Second main reason is overflowing of the river. So when when there when there's more rain, let's how would I explain? Just imagine this entire river is stretched towards stretch for, let's say, kilometers of kilometers, thousands of kilometers, right? From here to here, it is thousands of kilometers. So in roughly from Surat to Kanyakumari. Okay, so let's divide areas like this. Let's use So now you can assume that it is not a smaller area. Just forget about the scale of the tree as for the moment. So now this stretch is almost about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is almost about 200 kilometers. So here to here is almost about Surat to Vadodara or more than that, right? So in that much area, what happens, like this upstream area, there is plenty of rainfall. There's too much of rainfall. So what happens? All that pouring of water broaden up the river. All this water flows the river and makes this river flooded. What happens? All this area, when there is lower altitude or something, it also get flooded due to there is lesser capacity of the river over here. Hmm? So that will make this entire area flooded. For an example, if we take an example of Surat, we always have upstream rainfall from Madhya Pradesh, right? And then that entire thing, the water, comes through the Ukai Dam, and we face flooding all the time. So let's say this is Surat and this is Madhya Pradesh. So that is how rivers play crucial role to flood the area. Now the third and very rare phenomena, which is like breaking of the dam. If it is too much of water behind the dam, so we always have dams, Sardar Sarovar Dam and Ukai Dam and all, and we always read in newspaper that rule level is 434, sorry 343, 373. All this level depict that what kind of pressure water would create. So what you need to understand in such phenomena that if the water level behind the dam is too high and which creates pressure on this, what happens, it may break the wall, it may break the wall of this dam, and then eventually this entire water flows in this direction, so which may affect this surrounding area of the dam or probably whatever the downstream is, and that is how the flood occurs in all this area. Hmm? Erase all. So this is very rare phenomena. I've not seen any case so far, but this may also occur. uh, the fourth phenomena, uh, strong wind. So, as we discussed earlier in earlier lectures, like how wind pressure is created, like from this area to this area. So there is a pressure difference between land and water. So what happened? There is a sudden drop between this, or probably too much difference between this, and some area gets strong wind just because of the pressure difference. So this strong wind, it is maybe in terms of hurricane or twister or something like that. What happens is, like, this strong wind, like hurricane or a tornado or something from coastal region to land, which brings too much of rain and at the same time water from this surface to the land, and this that may cause flooding in this area. You getting it? So this is also a very strong reason, like strong wind is also a strong reason to flood the land. For an instant, if Florida, Miami, or probably southern coast of United States or eastern coast of United States, always get hurricane and all. So that is a strong wind from the sea, and that brings water and rain in this direction because of the strong wind, and which creates flooding on either on coastal region So maybe this region or some part of it. And it is again very devastating because the wind is there, the rain is there, the flood is there, and the effect of that flood would be devastating. It may make plenty of damage to the properties. Hmm. The fifth and the last phenomena which occurs the flood is glacier melting or ice melting. So let's say there is ice on the peak, or all these mountains are made of ice. And what happens? There is, due to global warming or some reason, there is a temperature drop. There is a hot temperature. So what happens? This entire ice will be melted and turn into water, and which will flow into the river, hmm, which makes this entire river flooded. So what happens? This water, this sudden water, the temperature change creates this entire ice melting, and then all this lower altitude area will be affected with that water.